so nobody heard me.
No,
huh?
nope.
Oh,
It's
April
okay.
Fools.
Nobody's here yet anyways. Hang on. Waiting on Chris. Oh, no one's... This is probably the longest taking anybody to log in yet.
That's because we're normally not on time.
That's a good point. One way or another. Now we have people. All right.
Now we have people.
Hi, Jen.
I thought you were going to say April Fools, nobody's watching.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Hi, this is Judy Gula with Artistic Artifacts. I am at home today. Kyle and I get a Saturday off, which Saturdays are busy. It's fun to work them because we get to see everybody. But there's lots of things that happen on Saturdays that, of course, aren't happening today, but under normal circumstances, they do. Anyway, I degrade. So what I talked a long time ago about doing a studio tour, and that's what we're going to do today. That's where we are. We're at home. But I need to, of course, make a couple of announcements and of things that are going on. We do have our visit with Scott Fortunoff up on the website. There is information about him spending the day with us. It's going to be Wednesday in May, the first one. Then in the evening there will be a ticket where a percentage of that ticket sales will go to Food for Others. And we are also asking for donations, and there's links and everything in there about finding out what Food for Others would like. So those are tickets. We're working on a hotel, the Hilton Hotel in Alexandria. Will probably work with us again. They worked with us with CAVE. So we're working on that kind of stuff. But we do have a list of hotels that are near us. If you're coming from out of town, you can look on things that say Eisenhower Avenue, and there are hotels on Eisenhower Avenue. So there's that. Then we have the Creative Minds Summit in May. There are still some spaces in some of the classes. I would suggest that if you're interested in coming, you reserve your seat. We have sold out one class. That is going on. Also, all the information is on our website. It's Libby Williamson from California, Liz Kettle from Washington State, Gwen and myself, both from Virginia now. Gwen moved back. She used to be in Utah, so now she's here with us. And the other thing, let's see, I had 4 things I had. We do have a Comments Sold. So when we say Comments Sold, that is our live sale venue. And really, it's our venue for special items. So this is an app that you download on your phone, and you can shop anytime, whether we're live, whether it's a recording, whether it's a special sale. So this is a special sale that we will not have on the website. This is only on the app, artisticartifacts.com app, and we will be having a bolt sale. So it'll include some fabrics, some interfacings, things by the bolt with a really great discount for you while supplies last. Sometimes there's 1 bolt, sometimes there's 2 bolts. So again, move quickly if it's something that you want, because even if you have it in your shopping cart and somebody else comes in, puts it in their shopping cart and pays, it's out of yours now and it's gone to the customer that's paid. So if you have any questions, just email us at sales@artisticartifacts.com. So those are there. We also will be getting Seth Apter's fabric, which we're very excited about, and we'll be doing some programs with him through the summer. And in September 8th, Seth will be at our store. So we will have events with Seth, classes. We're just really excited to have him come and visit us. So please, we kind of, I'm trying to save the dates for you so you know special events and are aware of them. The details keep coming because it's ever evolving. So, Kyle, do we have any questions about the events or anything?
No, just a lot of good morning so far. A lot of people were excited to see this. Grandma's watching because she's not seen your home in so long.
Hi, Grandma. Hi, Mom.
Yeah.
Kyle's grandma.
Lots of good mornings.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for everybody tuning in from around the country.
Great, great. Good morning, good morning. In some places it's very early morning.
Yeah.
So, as always, we do record these, and we will post them on our YouTube channel. So, in case that you have a friend that you want to share it with, we have a lot of information on our YouTube channel. So please join us. You're snickering.
Dad says good morning from upstairs.
Dad says good morning from
Sorry.
upstairs. Okay, could you tell him to turn off the microwave? It's beeping.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will tell you that I have been cleaning my studio. So I'm going to sandbag a little bit and not show you what it's like when I'm in the midst of creating, because it gets a little bit crazy. So, and I wanted to I have a room packed full of stuff. So Kyle is going to show you that, and we're going to first start with my doll collection. So I have a lot of creative handmade dolls that, see, Mom, here's your book. I swiped it, and I made this one, and I made this one. But the others are friends who are artists and gifts that have come. And so this is kind of the entryway in my house. So my house is a contemporary, as contemporary as you could be in 1970, and it's shaped in a U. So I don't really have a basement, so to speak, and I have no attic. So there is the front half of it's shaped like this, like a U. So I'm on this side of the U. I do have access to outside, so I'm like not in a total hole. I do have light and that type of stuff. So this is coming downstairs into the studio that in some houses might be a second bedroom, but for me is a studio. So I've always had a studio at some way, shape, and form. When my husband met me, I had a floor loom, I had a weaver studio, and he's like, oh, that's no big deal, we'll move, it's okay. And he couldn't believe how much stuff came out of the studio. But, and as things have evolved, I moved from weaving and spinning to fabric sculptures and jewelry and that type of stuff to kind of now where I am now, which is more mixed media. So I, again, will sandbag you and say that this is my sewing studio. This is what they call a dry studio. My wet work area, and I don't mean with a rifle or a gun, I mean with paint and water and glues and that kind of stuff, that is in a dungeon. But we're just going to show you this one. I have on this wall my two favorite quilts. So if you haven't really seen, I'm well known for batik panel quilts because that's what I've been working with since 2012. But my first love is always vintage. I love old pictures, I love old stuff, some jewelry, some hand dyes. So these are my two very favorite quilts. The bottom one was in a Donna DeSoto book about the Beatles, and my song is A Little Help from My Friends. And it's very true that the business would not be where it is, Artistic Artifacts wouldn't be what it is without a lot of help from my friends and my family. So that is definitely a plus. So in my dreams as I was growing up, I thought I was going to, be a fashion designer. So there was a period of time that I was like really hot into designers. So this is a Xandra Rhodes poster that came from Saks Jandel, 1979. I can remember my mom driving me down to DC and driving around because we couldn't find parking, dropping me off and letting me go in and buy the poster and come back out. So, and that was 1979, and I love that. That one is absolutely awesome. And then I've always collected vintage pictures. These again are from my mom and Gaudi fashion design, and she found this one that I had never seen before that's a three-dimensional, where you can see where they elaborated, Kyle's getting there, elaborated, three-dimensionalized the dresses, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. So these are very special, really, really cool. I've never seen one since. Then as you, that's my mom made that. So I did grow up in a creative house, and I did grow up in a house that collected antiques and vintage things. So early on, I was collecting vintage textiles, I think elementary school. And they tell a story about when, I'm pretty sure it was elementary school, maybe it was middle school too, but my mom was part of an antique study group that's called Questers, and you might have Questers. It's a international program where you study different items. Sometimes it's jewelry, sometimes it's furniture, china, whatever. So my mom had a group of older women who were in this group, and I would amazingly get sick whenever they had meetings. I'm sorry, Mom, I can't go to sleep. I have a fever. I don't feel well. So she'd let me get out of school, and then I would be like, oh, I feel great. Are we going antiquing today with the Questers? So I was doing that since I was very young. So I just have always had a love of that. So Kyle's going to keep going around the room.
I learned that I just should have faked a fever just so I could have you drive me around and pick up stuff off the side of the road. That's what I should have done.
That's what we definitely did that a lot every Saturday morning. So again, these are kind of my favorite quilts. This is a petite quilt. This is a quilt that I finished and put together with some blocks from a friend of mine who passed. It was really kind of cool. I felt like it was a real partnership, and that I really love she was a vintage Japanese collector of fabrics. So, okay, you can kind of see going around. Again, this is another quilt that I love here. And then there's still some have little vignettes.
Lots of people love your dress. The latest is Beth Wingate, but there are others.
Yes, there's dresses are coming. I'm getting there. I'm trying to move through the shipment that came in of clothing. So this is one of the dresses that came in the shipment.
Catherine Miller says hello.
Hello. All right. Any questions?
No.
Okay, so the next thing I thought I would talk about is my sewing machine setup that I have. So, of course, I'm a Bernina girl, have been a Bernina girl since 1978, and have always sewn on it. My first machine was an 810. Then I sewed on a 153 for a really long time. So an 810 is a mechanical, very, very old, which my nieces have now. And a 153 I sewed. So when I became a Bernina dealer, I had tried multiple machines, including the 880, and I kind of landed on a 770. So this is a 770 non-plus, meaning the screen is smaller here. So this is a smaller machine. I must confess that the Cafe machine, I really, really, really want the Cafe machine. So I'm hoping that I can acquire the demo that's on the floor. So when you come to test the Cafe machine, just be gentle, please, because it'll ultimately be mine. And so, what are you laughing at?
No.
Okay, and I do have a Bernina chair. So these chairs are really great. Leslie, who worked with us, she kept saying, oh, you can sew all day and not feel fatigued. Well, I don't normally get to sew all day. So when I went on my retreat, I took my chair with me and I sewed for 3 days straight. And she's right. This is an awesome chair. Absolutely awesome chair. Makes a difference when you have the right equipment. So, you know how horrible it is to be sewing and you're sitting on a folding chair. Don't do that to yourself on a regular basis, only when you're desperate. I do have a Bernina cabinet. This cabinet is normally for 5 series and 4 series smaller machines, but I really, as you can see, I have a small space, so we kind of made it work. It does go up and down, so I could add an embroidery module here. It does have a motor. It has drawers, and these I talked about when I talked about the retreat, because they're easy to pick up, so I keep things that way. One of the things I love, and I didn't think I would like, is this. So I have my threads, and they're covered. So I used to have one of those things that goes on the wall, and the dust that would accumulate on the top of the threads was really not pretty. And so I like the fact that I can close this up and do that there, and it's done. I do have some storage for my Q20 tools. So the idea is to be able to swing my chair this way and work with my Q20. I do have it on a folding table because that was what was available. That is not what I'm recommending. I don't recommend a Q20 on a folding table, only a Q16, because there is some motion and it'll vibrate. So, but it just happened that this was what we would take to shows to demonstrate. So it took a turn to my house instead of back to the store. And this is one of the things, we had one of our customers that had a flood. And I think that this is a really cool thing. So say you're going away, we all should know this, but I think we really need to make sure we practice it. Pick your foot pedal up, put it on your cabinet. Make sure that your machines are unplugged if you're leaving for any period of time, and put your plugs up on your tables. So I do that with this machine, the 770, as well as the Q20. So definitely, you know, if you have even if you're gone for a week, you just never know what's going to happen. They had a flood because of natural causes, and she had all her foot pedals for her, 2 or 3 machines on the floor, and they were all dead. So just as a travel thing, be aware of that. Also, when you're traveling, you should cover your machines, because even when we're not here, there's dust being created, and that just, doesn't help machines either. So, any questions about Bernina?
We have a Crystal Francis who says, yes, that was me, and I never ever have left anything on the floor again.
Yes, Crystal. And actually, it happened to somebody else, Crystal, so it wasn't just you. But yes, we don't, I swear by, I have customers where I know that they've had floods, and it's like, oh, what can I pick up? What can I move up? So to really be aware of it, because you just never know when it's going to happen.
We now have a handful of questions,
okay,
but also a comment of good that you always have a window open. Catherine always has a window open.
Yes. I have to have sunlight. I have to have lots of light.
Let's see. Leslie and a bunch of others were raving about their Bernina chairs.
Yes,
in the chat.
Leslie's the one that talked me into it. Yes,
and she is right.
She is right,
because apparently she is always right, Leslie? Hold on. Sorry, I gotta scroll back a little bit. We had a question about the framed letter.
The framed letter. Okay, this was from my mom and her friend Jean, and it was a letter to dear daughter in 1851, and it says from affectionately mother. So this was, because my mom knows I like vintage things and it loves paper, but that's what it was. It was a letter, dear daughter, and it was from an affectionate mother, which I have an affectionate mother.
Yes.
Yes.
Question about the cutting mat that was on the 770.
Okay, cutting mat. Oh, cutting mats. That's cutting mats are a little tricky. What's the question?
What is it?
Well,
this one over here.
Oh, that one. Oh, that's not a cutting mat.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry.
So this is a So Steady grid glider. Chris raves about these. I had one and hadn't pulled it out and used it again, so I thought, okay, well, Chris swears by it. She swears by it. So, okay, she's right. Again, I listen to my friends. So if you look, you got to come a little closer, Kyle. So the idea of the grid glider is I'm doing, this line is going here. So this is what I use for piecing. Now when you're sewing, if you're up at your needle, you are too close. You need to be positioning your fabric down here. So this line is where the needle line is. This is where 1/4 of an inch is. This is where 5/8 are. So, so if I'm sewing, oh God, bad picture. So here's my needle. Here's my 1/4 inch. I'm positioning my 1/4 inch to go here, down here, not up here where my foot is. So it just helps you, and I need all the help I can get with keeping a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And it does have 5/8 for those of you who are sewing garments. So this is a Sew Steady Grid Glider, which we do have in stock and we do sell. And you peel it up. You need, if it gets grody like this, you just rub it off. All this stuff rubs off with and then it'll re-stick again. So don't think it's all used up. You can wash the back off so it holds together. And usually I'll take a sponge or something wet and put it there and it helps it stick. So that's called a Sew Steady Grid Glider.
Awesome. And then I see some comments, so I might have to come back to that. But
okay.
I'm up here. What are the dimensions of your room? Do you have that off the top of your head?
It's a bedroom. Is Dave listening?
I think he's there somewhere.
Okay, so
it goes back to when you were talking about
10,
space.
10, maybe it's 11, but I don't know. I'm not good at that.
He's
Dave, what's the size of this room?
It's approximately 12 by 16.
12 by 16. Oh, well, much bigger than I thought.
Not including the closets.
Okay, 12 by 16. So it's a little bit bigger than Kyle's room was when he was growing up. So,
was it?
Yes, it is. And the closets, oh my God, the closets. So.
Okay, hang on.
All right.
Subsidy glider, industrial machine. Chris answered that question. I think 20. Is there another pants class scheduled? Judy Bell?
No, Judy, not at the moment.
Apparently there's a painting of mine. No, we're not showing that.
Yes, he does.
No, we're not showing that.
Kyle and his 3 cousins, Carly, Megan, and Reed, who are my brother's kids, and Kyle, all had a piece framed by their grandmother, and we entered it into an art show in Washington, D.C. So this was all arranged by their grandmother, and Washington had a show, and so when it came back, I kept it, and I have Kyle's piece. So my favorite thing to do when Kyle was growing up was to go spend time with him when he was in the art room. I absolutely adored his art room teacher. She absolutely wonderful.
Miss Rust, right?
Yeah.
She was awesome.
Yeah, she was just so great. And the other thing is that the first time I was called an artist was when Kyle introduced me to his art class as his mom, who is an artist, and she's here to spend time. So Kyle was the first one that called me an artist.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Well, you would bribe my teachers with all these little gifts of because you did the fabric jewelry and then the ornament making, and I was a problem child, so you would bribe them to take care of me. I remember, I ran into the old bus driver, Miss Burton, a few years ago. I think it had something to do with, I can't remember, I was picking somebody up from a bus stop or something. But she was like, oh my gosh, does your mom still make those cool Christmas ornaments? And even just the ones with the little marbles.
Yeah, we did a lot.
Hang on, we got a few more. Leslie says, you're a mama's girl.
I am. She knows that.
Chris says, sometimes you listen.
Sometimes I try.
Oh, I think we're talking about the Sew City glider. Does it work with only Berninas, or does it work with other sewing machines?
Oh no, it works with any sewing machine. Any sewing machine. It's going to operate better if you have a Sew Steady table than if you just have your slide-on table for your machine. Sew Steady tables are really great. If you're not in a cabinet, you want to definitely get one of those. It adds some space that's level, which is really important when you have those slide-on tables, and I think this is the case with all machines. They kind of are bowed like this, so you want to be using that. So Sew Steady has an online store. You have plenty of options. It's a very reasonable priced item, and you can, I recommend that for anybody who's not in a cabinet and is sewing on a table. Like I started out sewing on a folding table for years, so I didn't get a cabinet until recently.
Does it help with sewing clothes?
Yeah, absolutely. It extends that table out to give you a larger surface. I highly recommend them. Okay, Kyle's laughing again.
Okay, we have to show everyone your fabric storage. I'm sorry. I had to go through all the comments,
okay.
Everybody. I saw like 4 or 5 people asking for fabric storage.
Okay, so now I'll talk a little bit about storage. Right. And I will tell you again, this is not all my fabric. All right, I have tried, as everybody does try, to shuffle through my fabric and pick out my loves, and the things I don't like anymore, I get rid of. And sometimes when I can't create, just sorting my fabric is what I do. So I used to have 2 walls full of these alpha drawers. And I will tell you, I started out with IKEA lookalikes, and IKEA can't hold the weight. So this is fabric, and I kind of have, if I'm working with Indian fabrics, I have dye. This is all my indigo drawer. I have found the other thing that I have learned is to look at them, I have to take them out. Because if you keep the drawer in there, it's going to pull this piece down, and then your drawers are going to drop. Ask me how I know. So I pull them out when I look at them. So let's see. Oh, we can start over here. All right. Remember how I'm telling you guys that you have to have your mixed media drawers? Okay. So this is my drawer of all my silk paper. And I've done previous Facebook Lives with silk paper, and then this is a transfer on it. So I have a drawer of silk paper. I have a drawer of my Surface Design printed, my Indian, when I was in India, I printed, because I haven't quite figured out what to do with them. So these are just samples that we did when we were at the block printing factory, which we do have another trip ready in 2024 in November. This is my drawer of bags. This is kind of my batik. A little bit of batik. That's not all my batik. I have hand dyes, miscellaneous fabric. Gosh, I don't even remember what's in here. I love Marsha Dursey. I love Leslie Tucker Jennison's fabric. I love I love Seth's, and I don't even have Seth's yet. I cannot wait for that. So let's see, Leslie Tucker Jennison, Marsha Dursey. There's one more in there. Okay. This is my Indonesian fabrics. And, okay, these are a mixture. I don't really have them organized too well. These are my vintage, some not. No, this is not organized at all. These are some African. This is my thread craziness. So this is not a very good organization, but oh boy. So I have lots and lots of threads for hand stitching. I try to put projects in bags. Oh, Liz, this is my Italy journal. Okay, been looking for that. You know, it has some wool pieces where, you know, I block printed things. What I find most difficult, and I'm very sensitive to the sun and light. So in the winter, I'm really hibernate a lot. So I'm trying to force myself to have little projects, to do something to keep me going. I don't know if anybody else has that problem, but I definitely have that issue. And I'm in Virginia. I have no snow. It's just dreary. So that's one of the things I have project drawers.
We had one thing. You don't worry about fabric fading in these mesh drawers. I don't know if it was a sentence or a statement.
No, I don't. I do have just the one window. I have not found that I have problems. I honestly did have a problem when a mouse got loose in here, but don't want to go there. This is my drawer where I make my postcards. So that's my postcard scraps. This is my other mixed media paper, fabric paper. This is printed, block printed fabrics. And this is plain when I'm ready to stitch or something like that. Now, I will tell you, I have probably 10 more boxes, big plastic containers that are in the garage because I don't have an attic. But I'm not showing you the garage. I'm sorry. That's like not ready for prime time. So, but this is where I am keeping the fabrics that I want to inspire me, that I want to work with, that I have a different way of storing projects, but that's some of my fabric. Okay. Then you saw that I have 2 vintage thread cases. So I do have some thread up here and some thread in here. Liz has taught me that it really is better to leave your thread covered. I do have a wall thread holder, but the thread is covered in plastic. I only put things that are not opened yet in there. Closet, what is he saying?
Oh, lots of people are asking about the closet,
Oh.
but they'll have to be patient.
Okay, it's coming.
They'll have to be patient.
It's coming.
It's
okay.
fine. It's, remember when we were all kids on Christmas and you had to wait? Yeah, wait, that's right. And there was one question. Hang on 1 second. Where is it? Oh, fabric paper. Was there fabric paper in there
Fabric
somewhere?
paper, yeah.
Okay, there was just...
Fabric paper is, so this is fabric paper. So it's a piece of muslin. I think that there's a YouTube video on this as well. And so you take some watered down fabric glue and you paste this paper on there, and then you can see I've block printed it, I've painted it. My quilt, my piece that is in Leslie Riley's new book about memories, used fabric paper on there. You can sew on it and everything is pretty fun. So when I teach classes like block printing and fabric paper and silk paper, I say, this is a stash drawer now. This is what you have. So it's important to, when you start branching out, that you play with these new techniques and create space. Okay, now he's laughing.
Kathy, you're my hero. She uses Hot Wheel cases for her thread.
Yes, Hot Wheel cases. Yes, they are great. And actually, they're really great for feet, too. They're good. Yeah, Hot Wheel cases. We have a few of those still.
Yeah, no, definitely a few.
Kyle still has cars in them.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll give some to Leo. That's his bribery for behaving.
Yeah, he's a good guy. All right.
Where do you keep your other sewing tools? Are those in the white drawers over there?
The sewing tools.
Scissors, rulers, whatnot.
Okay. Well, let me show you this one first, because this is kind of a treasure box. This has my really cool stuff, and you can tell how much of a collector I am. So here's my seam rippers, my tweezers, some odd things, and it goes 3 back. But then I start putting my treasured things in here. So I grew up going to the beach, which I absolutely had a love-hate relationship with because it was always at my birthday, but I absolutely loved it, and I'm crazy about shells. And then I have these things. These are just kind of special. Look at all these, and I don't even use a thimble. And these and these. So I like this here. These are just kind of special, fun things. All right, so those are the fun, but this bottom drawer has some of my tools in it there. I generally, so this is a cutting table, and I have a drawer in here. So this is scissors, extra scissors, my rotary cutters, a couple of my used rulers I use a lot. So that's in here, extra pins. I do have things in the drawers over by my sewing machine, so I'll have my machine needles, I'll have a pair of scissors in there, a seam ripper, that's organized in there. Rulers, I did not use rulers a whole lot, but I've started using them. I like the GE Designs Stripology rulers, all of them. Sorry. And so I inherited these guys that go on the inside of the Alpha. And this one I keep hitting, so it can go there. So I keep rulers to a limited. I know that's awful because I'm selling you rulers, and I like you to buy as many rulers as you can. The Crazy 8 rulers I'll put in a zip bag. That will do it, but that's generally what I do at the moment with rulers.
I don't know which one is first, but it's buttons and closet.
Okay, so buttons and closet. Oh gosh. Okay.
But those are the two. People are just putting closet in the chat. And buttons. Buttons ? Yes, Deborah, we're getting to them. I promise. Okay. I'm sorry. I see it.
So these are mother of pearl buttons. And I don't really share my mother of pearl buttons. I keep them and hoard them. I collect them. I was corrected. I collect them. So, but I love all these funky jars. So there's there. Now, I do clean all of my mother of pearl and bone buttons with Polydent. I don't know if anybody knows that, but I put them in a jar with a lid. Well, I don't put the lid on. So I put hot water in it, and I put a Polydent, so for dentures. And I put the lid on it, shake them up a little bit, and leave it for a while, a couple hours. Then I put them through a spaghetti sieve type thing. I know there's another word for that, and I rinse them out, and I lay them down on a piece of toweling, and I roll the towel up to get as much water out as I can, transfer them to a dry towel, and let them lay in my furnace room because that's where it's the warmest. So I do clean all of my buttons before they make it into my studio. Nothing comes into my studios directly from a button box.
We've got somebody. Oh, Naya says hello. We've got somebody who uses a colander.
Colander, that's the word.
Yes.
That's the word. There you go.
Strainer.
Yeah.
Kathy Stevens says she has 200 pounds of antique buttons. Anytime you want to donate those, or maybe find them a new home, come see us. As you can tell from that reaction, that's all you need to know. And then, how do you tell if they're real mother of pearl buttons?
You bite them.
Like a prospector?
All right. So plastic is warm. Plastic is warm. It's a smooth texture. Usually glass and bone and pearl buttons are from shells, and they are usually cool. So plastic is warm. So that's the thing. Sometimes you'll see pearl buttons that are chipped, whatever. I think maybe I've handled them for so long I can just tell. But think of a shell. Think of what a seashell looks like, what the inside of an oyster shell looks like. Those are what all these pearl shells are made out of. But for sure, plastic is warm. It's not cool. Anything that's glass is going to be cool.
And then do you have a favorite method for hanging your small fabric pieces?
I generally try to use non-traditional things. Like you can see, these are hangers that came out of my grandfather's house. So I try to use some old wooden hangers, and I do have a collection of those. So those, it does have a sleeve on them, so I use a lattice strip for a lot of them, but I move my quilts around so much when I take them to visit guilds and do guild lectures and things that I just need to be able to pull them on and off. And I'll show you how I store some of my quilts. Most of my quilts are at work at the shop, and we store them in plastic covered hanging bags and we put them on pants hangers with clips. So when they're not out on the wall, that's how we do it.
That could be another Facebook Live. We can just spend a half an hour to 45 minutes going through one of those.
Okay. All right, so we're getting closer to the closet here, but we're not quite there yet. Okay. So, I've been collecting for a really, really long time. I did tell you about the story with my mom. I seem to have this, people bring things to me that I just love them. So, when I started with the mixed media, I use pins, I use bracelets, I use jewelry, I use metal pieces, all kinds of stuff. So, my first thing was this IKEA shelving thing. So, and I've outgrown this. So this, I could have a drawer on metal stuff. Things that I just like, has caught my eye. Can you see? I could do a whole quilt on this piece alone. So this drawer has, I had a friend who closed her bead store. Oh my Lord. Like I didn't have enough beads as it was. I found these sun pieces. I have bracelets. I have pins. I have a little container of suns. This is a hodgepodge also. I love these mother of pearl pins. I love them. I love these Russian little pins. I use those on my quilts. So this is all different pins. And I don't cut the pins apart. I don't cut the jewelry apart. I try to use it and incorporate it so that I'm not damaging that. Let's see. This is a whole drawer of fish. This is just fish. Faces. Don't know what that drawer is. Flowers. So I love millinery flowers or trims and things. So I like that. Shells. As I said before, I'm a really big shell person. African beads. This was a result of my friend closing her bead store. Like I didn't have enough beads already. This is a drawer of rhinestone. Is rhinestone you can't find anymore. So I just used to buy it by the bagfuls. This is some stuff from my grandmother that's in here. I had a friend who would put these beautiful rhinestone pins on crazy quilts. I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Jade that I bought when I was in Taiwan. I don't know. Don't know either. Okay, this is from my mom. But so this is all stuff. Okay. All right, you ready for the closet now?
Lots of hearts.
Yeah. So, as I said, sometimes I'm a messy artist. There's stuff flying all the time when I'm actually working. So I really did clean up for you guys. But sometimes I just don't feel like sewing, or I don't feel like hand stitching or beading. So I organize because I'm touching my things and continually saying, do I love this? Do I not love this? Do I love this? Do I not love this? So even when I think I'm not creating, I'm actually going through things. So this closet, these closets are absolutely incredibly awesome, and they are packed to the gills. So, but we have not figured out the lighting. So that's why I have this daylight lamp. is because it's the only way to see.
Where do you get it?
Well, we're going to start carrying them, because the daylight lamps, because I really make a difference. I've tried all kinds of different lamps, but I really think daylight, in my opinion, is the best thing. And when we have our meetings, we talk about new products that we want to expand to, and this is one of the ones I think we're going to do, because I take this lamp everywhere. I carry it around the room. It makes a big difference.
Beth Wingate says she loves her 3.
3, yeah. Yeah, I think they're good. Okay, ready?
All right, cue your Harry Potter music, Narnia, whatever, whatever your...
Okay, this is only one of 2 closets. Okay.
It's just...
The closets are the best part of the room.
Yes, we can to Miss Faith DeOrland. Sorry if I butchered that. We will show some more quilts later.
Okay. Yes. We do have a few more quilts. So I am gonna tell him. It's my husband saying, don't forget to tell him this. All right, so we devised these great racks. So, because I was a beater before I became a quilter. And so these are kind of kitchen things that you put the racks in. And it was perfect for all these spice containers that I do. As I said, I collect old jars to put things in. You know, so there's an old ball jar that has amber in it. So I have them on both of these doors. My husband very nicely put them up for me. So twice they have fallen off. Fallen off. And I have not been here. I've been on a trip. And my husband has had to call me and say, I'm sorry to tell you this, but your beads dropped to the floor. So the problem with these is that the closets are hollow doors. So we now have figured out that I have to move very closely, slowly. I can't swing the doors real far. And he's like put all kinds of supports in where the...
Oh, he's anchored those suckers.
He anchored. See, yeah. That was the word I wanted.
That's...
So, but this has been a godsend. This has really, really, really helped. And then when I was in the torpedo factory, I was part of a guild, part of a cooperative. And they decided to change out their storage. So this is all alpha shelving that I got free, if not fairly cheap. So we took all the hangers for the clothing out and created the shelves and put the shelves up. And they can adjust. So I have all those bead mixes that we sell in the store. This is where they started. They're way past this now, but this is how I work. I like to have a mixture of beads. It's by color. It's all, I do not usually keep things by size. So these are all beads here. Again, my friend closed her store, so I now have more beads. So these are beads. This is my little bead box. That's a vintage sewing box, and that's where if I go teach a class, I take my bead box. It has my bead needles in it, my bead thread, and then I add beads in it. So these are the containers that we sell in the store. And this is the best buy you can get. They're glass beads. There's a mixture. Each time we make the mix, it's different depending on what we add to it. We put vintage in there as well. So this is how it all kind of started with the beads. And you can see I have more funky containers. I have coins. My aunt passed away. She gave me, her daughter gave me all her coins. So then the other thing that's up here is I had a collection of lunch baskets, which I have narrowed down a little bit.
Picnic baskets?
Picnic baskets, yes, Yogi. And I need tags on here to tell me what's in them because, of course, they're not clear boxes. Then these are trims. So all of these are color-coded trims. This box here, this is all vintage collars. This is vintage clothing. So there's lots of that stuff. My buttons. Okay. Let me show you my buttons. So see, I have more mother of pearl buttons. I have more picnic baskets. My buttons are sorted by color and put into these containers. So these are all my precious buttons. And belt buckles, buttons and belt buckles. I don't buy these. I end up finding them, or people give me these things. I don't go out and buy them. This is all my...
Finding.
Finding.
On the side of the road.
Yeah, well, no, I think people have given me these. You know, Kyle used to come with me when, not this year, but a couple years before this, we actually helped people clean out their studios. And so that makes it really hard because you acquire more things as you go.
People are wowed by your organization. You are somebody's organization queen? Or storage queen, sorry. Crystal.
Queen. Yes, I know. Crystal, you thought you had it all, right?
Catherine Miller can't breathe. I suggest you find your nearest brown paper bag and take slow, deep breaths, please.
But as I said, I mean, there's times where you don't feel creative, and if I'm not reading a trashy novel, I'm kind of down here petting my stuff to kind of make sure that, okay, I can do this. It's okay. It's coming. It's coming. You know, we can have a whole different conversation about turning your hobby into a business and the pros and cons of that, but we won't do that today. All right.
Oh, hang on. I got to get one last store. Deborah wants to know if the store can start offering an organization service.
My God, I love organizing somebody else.
And let's see. Just lots of wows. Leslie says she's going to go clean her space now. We've had a comment that it's they don't have built closets over in the UK.
I know. So you have to buy one of those wardrobes and do the same kind of thing. I feed on lots of stuff around me. Some people don't. Like, one of the things I was asked by Leslie Riley, what music do I listen to in the studio? I don't. Because I have all this chaos around me that I can't add music. I like it quiet. I like to pick things out and that type of stuff. But the thing that's nice about a wardrobe or a closet is that it can be a little bit calming. Like, nothing's calming in this room, but it can. Now I've closed it and the chaos is not in my face. I know if I need a button or I need something that I can go to the closet, but I can close the closet. I've had other studios where everything has been out. Like, I had floor to ceiling baskets and stuff, and we finally had to make a curtain over it because it was too much for me. So so that's one of the things you also want to think about is, what do you need to be creative? Does it help you to have lots of stuff, or does it hurt you that you can't focus on what it is that you want to do? I think that's a question that you need to ask, because everybody works differently. Lots of people like music blaring when they're working. I can't do that. So and the way I try to keep current projects, so to speak, is my tray theory. So I have all this stuff in here and I have it in drawers and that kind of stuff, but if I have a project I'm working on, like, I want to do more with this piece. Okay, so this is block printed indigo. I've painted it because it wasn't showing up. I'm kind of not sure where this piece is going, but I want to do something with it. So this is in a tray. So as I find things, I put them in the tray. This, I was so excited. This was happened just because I was organizing things and going through stuff. Wouldn't this be cool as the piece of the backing for a quilt? Wouldn't that be absolutely amazing? Now, I've had this for a really long time, and it didn't come to me until recently. So it also helps. This piece as a backing to a quilt, oh, definitely doing that. So I started putting, I was like, okay, well, I have this piece here. I could start with that. Or I have some old paisley, so I start putting it in here. So this is kind of where my current stuff is. This is my store pile where I'm supposed to be doing store samples. So that's how I bring it out of the storage and into here. Does that make sense? I'm a big proponent. And this will take me a while to accumulate. Like the top one, I'm kind of ready on it. I'm working on it. And this is a little closer to finished. And then the other ones go down. Okay. Are we like at 2 hours? So
we're actually at an hour. But
oh my God! Is everybody all right?
Everybody more people just keep showing up.
Okay.
Thank you everybody for sticking with us. I hope you're all having fun.
I'm pouring them to death.
No, absolutely not. Catherine Miller says let's post pictures of our studios to share somewhere. And I was going to suggest Creative Minds, but Chris beat me to it.
Okay, good. Yeah, please.
Cool.
That's and things that work for you. Let's talk about what works for you, or maybe you have that something doesn't work, or I don't know how to handle this. That's Creative Minds is our community page. It's for all of us to post things on that. So yeah, please. Great idea.
Chris wants to know what's in your rice bag.
What's in my rice bag?
Julie wants to know if you ever sleep.
I do sleep a lot. I mean, again, this has been years in the making. This did not happen. This is 25 years, 30 years of stuff, of doing things. I was very fortunate that I grew up with an encouragement in being creative. And my husband and my son always supported that. My parents always supported that. My parents support it now with the store. So I'm very, very fortunate that I've been collecting and doing this stuff for a really, really long time. So what's in my rice bag that was made by Chris, because I could not make a rice bag on my own, is my ATCs for jams for next month. And it has something to do with these cafe. These are embroidered cafe pansies.
We did a Facebook Live on those.
We did, and here's, so these are going to be, Crystal, make sure I get an ATC next month. So this is going to be my ATCs. They do a trading. It's artist trader cards. It's the size of a playing card, and you put your name on the back, and somebody you trade with people at the Jams meeting, which is on the third Sunday of the month.
Crystal says, yeah.
Yeah.
Deborah wants to know, do we have a pattern for the bag?
Yes, it's called the rice bag. It's from Casey Stevens. There's like 3 bags that Chris has done. She's made most of the samples. I really, for some reason, could not tackle this, but she makes great bags. So those 3 patterns. There's a new one. Chris, my birthday's coming up. I know I missed yours, but I'll make it up to you. That's I don't know what the name of it is. Chris will post the bags, but they're really nice. Just limitless opportunities to use something. And then I've always used the glass jars because they're pretty, but now I have the bags, I have the baskets, so I wanted my storage to be something more than plastic boxes, although the next cabinet is plastic boxes.
Crystal's working on her ATCs right now.
Crystal? Okay, good.
Chris said that it's for the studio. For this one, it helped to have a problem in your basement that required a renovation.
Yes, it did. We did have mold and runoff, because this is the back corner of the house here, and you can see outside. I did have to empty it and start over, as Chris says.
But on the bright side, you get to see all the chipmunks in the springtime.
Oh, yes, they circle the house. They circle the house. Okay, All right. So let me get the light, because as I said, there's no lighting in here. So this one so I have things that hang here. So these are, I'm working on some vintage quilts and actually having them quilted by a long armor, so that I have them for family. And like, this is a quilt, I think I've shown you this before, but I haven't had a chance to finish it. This is a piece that is using shui shui fabric, blue fabric that's made in South Africa. And then this piece that is unfinished. I don't know, there's just something that I love about it. So the shui shui came from my friend that passed, and this piece is unfinished, and I'm taking it and making something from it. That just always really excites me. Sometimes people take blocks from somebody and go, oh, well, that was their project, I'm not going to do it. I really like to take their blocks, because in Virginia and I had such a similar color value and aesthetic and what we liked. So it was very easy for me to think I'm working with Virginia and that I'm creating something with her. So that was really fun. Then I have like molas. I poured molas in here, so those are some ideas. These are some really cool tablecloths I haven't finished. I have this piece that I bought that is really gorgeous old vintage, and I have some red work. So vintage red work. I never did any reproduction red work that I have been collecting for years on how to do a whole thing with collection of quilts there.
Could we go back through that? That was kind of far away.
What? Oh. Molas.
Gotcha.
See, there's all my hangers I'm saving. These are things that are batik. I have a couple batik panels. I love orphan embroideries. This one, yeah, that one's hard to see. So, but there's molas, and then there's some vintage. I have boxes of vintage, but look at these gloves. Aren't they really cool? See, there's the thumb and there's the hand. So that's there because it's like, oh, I got to do something with that. And then these are the vintage quilts. This was the heart quilt that we did. I think we showed you this when we did Valentine's Day, but I haven't gotten, I'm going to practice my Q20 on this one. Which way is up? This.
That one.
So that's all with Liberty. And you can see the difference between when I'm doing things for the store and when I'm doing things for myself, which is what happens. And it's all good because as long as it's sewing. And I use these pants hangers for things. This is Kyle's batik panel that we brought him back that he forgot about. This is yours. We brought that back from Indonesia for you. And I'm trying to figure out what to do. That fabric definitely doesn't go, but
I totally didn't forget about that.
and then again, I do not run out and buy plastic containers. I really don't. I have inherited all of these. So I went on a retreat last year with a couple of girlfriends, and they came out with all of these boxes. And I was like, well, what's in those boxes? They go, oh, well, it's my blocks. Like, what blocks? So I went back and pulled out my blocks. So this is Australian. I'm always working with Australian. And this is a quilt that I started. So these are some blocks. Here, see this? So I put all of those blocks that are finished in here. Oh, here it is. This is what I'm doing. So this is Australian. So here's this block here, but it starts out like this. So you cut those stripes in half and do a triangle here. And of course, by the time I finish this, they're no longer making that fabric. That's just the way it is. So I have that. So all of these are now stored together here. Here's the same idea with black and white. And we are going to have a Facebook Live coming up about working with Australian fabric, Aboriginal inspired fabric. It's been one of the original fabric lines that I started with when I opened my business. So these are all those are all more projects. See, I have a lot of projects, works in progress. Hand dyed. This is more stuff from Virginia. This is a big secret project for me. Of course, Tree of Life. It's a batik that I did. And I'm going to need a lot of time for that one. So, and then see, these are all stored. These are vintage, some wool. This is my box of fabric books, more hand dyed, which I probably have more hand dyed than I need, but okay.
Is there a featherweight in here?
Yes. Here's a featherweight. My cousin, this was her mom. She gave it to me. It's a white one. Plus I have 2 black ones from my grandmother. The white one had actually just been serviced, so I actually had taken it out and used it and sent a picture to my cousin who gave it to me. So, yes, there is a featherweight. And then, just because everybody thinks that they're the only ones that have unfinished projects, this is kind of things too. Like this is something that's been a project for years. That we did some block printing and we created pieces with that. So that's hand stitching. There's some, yeah. So this is unfinished. That's all. So I call them works in progress. I don't know. That just sounds better than UFOs. So that's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. Okay.
Do you have a bookshelf with your favorite books?
Yes, I do. I do. I have, so I used to have a much bigger room where I had all my stuff in the same place. But when I moved back into this room, not everything fit. So the bookshelf is in another room. So, this is a bookshelf. I told my husband it was going to sag, but he didn't believe me. So I moved some of my books over here. So I have been collecting Kate books for years, before I even had a store. I have my Liz Kettle books, my Shibori books, color books, needlework books. So, Batsford books. I love Batsford books. I cried because I had several books ruined with the water that came through, but I was able to replace them all. I was so excited. Then I have books on India and Indian fabric textiles and Indonesia fabric textiles. Those are stacked in a different place. Yeah, I love books. I don't do too well with reading things online. I can read a trashy novel on my phone, but I really want to see a book when it comes to art. Really want to. I just have giving up books is really hard.
And the owls.
And the owls.
The inlaid chops.
Yeah. My husband and son have always been a good sport about it, so I really feel very grateful that I've been able to become this person. I've spent my whole life becoming the creator of artistic artifacts, so it's quite a privilege. Are there any other questions? I'm sorry to have taken so long. I thank you, everybody. I do have lots of stuff.
People joke. They come in and do the store and go, "Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff here." And I was just like, "Yeah, it used to be at our house." And they laugh because they think I'm kidding. But I'm not.
Yeah, that is very true. And then, of course, once you get the store, it's just a license to buy more. So, because I have to share it with everybody. That's the way it is. All right, we get everybody's questions?
I don't see any.
Okay.
Everybody loved the tour. They were just
Okay. Oh, thank
lots
you.
of arts, and I love this. And
Yeah. Well, Catherine has a great idea. We want to have some, please post. You ask permission to be part of the group if you're not already part of the group. It's Artistic Artifacts Creative Minds Facebook group, and it is private. Not that other people don't slip through, but we try to take care of spam as fast as we can. And let's post some ideas. Let's see your pictures of your studios or your workspace. I mean, Leslie Riley for years and years and years worked on her bed. She had all her stuff underneath her bed and she'd pull it out to work on it. You know, so I know that I'm very lucky that I have this much space. Even though I cry that it's not enough, but it would just mean I would just accumulate more stuff. And then, you know, so it's big and small. Yeah, so I would love to see what everybody has. And don't forget, please make sure that you're receiving our email. Comes out on Wednesdays. We have a couple others that we send informing you of special events or things that we want to make sure that you didn't miss. And come visit us at the store. Sign up for classes. We'd love to see you. And we appreciate that you virtually join us all the time. So thank you very much. Have a great creative day.